Action News, Delaware Valley's leading news program, with Matt O'Donnell, Tamala Edwards, Karen Rogers, and meteorologist David Murphy.
Good morning, everyone. It's 6 o'clock on this Thursday, June 18th, and we are following breaking news.
New details are emerging this morning about the gunman who police say killed at least 9 people at a church in South Carolina.
Several vehicles collide on I-95 in Delaware County overnight, and the impact sends a tire flying into oncoming traffic.
AccuWeather is tracking rain for your morning commute. It could be a rough one.
Let's go to meteorologist Karen Rogers filling in for David for more on that. Also, Matt Pellman with a look at the roads.
Thank you, Matt. And we're starting this morning with that breaking news. Prayer service at a black church in South Carolina ended in carnage when a young man stood up and started shooting. 9 people are now dead. Now, right now, authorities are giving an update. We've seen them coming back and forth to the podium, telling us about the continued search for the suspect. So, of course, we're monitoring the very latest developments to bring them to you. We've got team coverage with Catherine Scott and Aaron O'Hearn. Let's get started with Aaron. Good morning.
Good morning, Tam. You mentioned that press conference just took place moments ago, and we actually heard from police in Charleston, and they gave us some details. They have some pretty distinct surveillance video that they wanted to release, pictures of that video, because they're asking for the public's help. They said that the shooter, who is in his 20s, who ended up, they say, killing 9 people inside this church, is considered dangerous, and they want to catch this guy. So they have that picture of him that they just released, and they also have a picture of the vehicle they believe he was driving in, which has a very distinct front plate. So those are some of the details coming out of Charleston right now. But just to recap what exactly happened, the scene unfolded last night around 9 o'clock at the Emmanuel AME Church. The assault is being called a hate crime, although authorities have not been specific about exactly what motivated the shooter to commit these murders. Now, the pastor of the church you see there, State Senator Clementa Pinckney, has been pushing a bill intended to help police agencies get body cameras. This was prompted by the fatal shooting of an unarmed black man, Walter Scott, by a police officer 2 months ago. Now, the Reverend Al Sharpton is saying that the pastor is among the dead.
People in prayer on a Wednesday evening, a ritual, coming together, praying and worshiping God, to have a awful person come in and shoot them is inexplicable, obviously the most intolerable and unbelievable act possible.
It's a horrible tragedy for this community. Now, again, the FBI and the Sheriff's Department is looking for the shooter, who is said to be between 20 and 25. They just held this press conference. They released some surveillance video of him. It's a pretty distinct picture, and of the vehicle they believe he was driving. So they are pleading for the public to come forward if they have any information. We also know that there will be another update at 7 a.m. So, of course, we'll bring you the details on 6abc.com. There will also be a vigil outside the church at noon today, but we're really staying on top of this story. Of course, a horrible moment down there in Charleston, Matt.
All right, Aaron, thanks for those new details. And Action News reporter Catherine Scott is live in Queen Village and has more on the local ties to that church in South Carolina. Catherine?
Matt, the pastor here got a call about that shooting last night shortly after he left a church meeting. He says he's pretty much been up ever since. He explains that the AME community is a very tight-knit community, and that there are people here in the congregation at Mother Bethel whose families, their parents or grandparents, have come from South Carolina. Pastor Dr. Mark Kelly Tyler spoke to us inside about the grief he feels this morning for all of the victims, but he is a good friend of Reverend Pinckney's. They would talk about their congregation, and Dr. Tyler even interviewed Reverend Pinckney for a documentary on the African Methodist Episcopal Church in South Carolina. Dr. Tyler says what happened last night is still sinking in.
This is something that hits all AMEs. I mean, we're on 5 continents in almost 40 countries, and I guarantee you by later this morning we'll be getting email and messages from people in South Africa and the Caribbean and Europe, all over. I mean, this is, we're family.
And Dr. Tyler tells me that Mother Betha will be doing something to show solidarity with Mother Emanuel. They don't know what that is yet, but they do say it will include a lot of prayer. We're live in Queen Village. Catherine Scott, Channel 6 Action News.
Catherine, thank you for that. And new this morning, a multi-vehicle crash on I-95 in Delaware County has left one person critically injured. This happened near Route 320 in Chester at 11:30 last night. State police say 4 vehicles, including a semi-truck that was carrying cars, crashed along the northbound lanes. A tire flew off one of those vehicles and then hit a car in the southbound lanes. The person in that southbound car was not hurt.
The company that makes health trackers that you wear on your wrist is going public on Wall Street today. Maribel Aber is live at the NASDAQ in Times Square with some bits on Fitbit. Maribel.
Oh, good one, Matt. Let's start with stocks. Stocks ended Wednesday with some modest gains as investors reacted to news from the Fed. The Federal Reserve says higher interest rates are on their way, but Fed Chief Janet Yellen says any rate hikes will be small. Right now, futures indicating a lower open. To this big IPO, Fitbit, the maker of the #1 fitness band in the country, is going public today. It's going to trade under the ticker symbol FIT. It's expected to raise about $620 million. Company officials say the money will be used for research and development and buying other companies. And as it turns out, Unlimited did have its limits at AT&T. And because of that, the FCC is fining the telephone company $100 million. The Federal Communications Commission says the company misled its customers about its unlimited data plans. AT&T didn't tell its customers their speeds would be significantly slower once they crossed a certain data usage threshold. Matt and Tam, you can imagine the customer reaction to lower speeds.
Not happy, I'm sure. Thank you, Maribel. And you know, they like their burgers different in different places. We'll tell you what they like in Japan. They're seeing red. That later on Action News.
6:15, still raining in many parts of the region. As you see, we have lots of cloud cover in Center City, Philadelphia. 67 degrees, getting up to 79 today. Should be clear later this morning.
Let's head on over to Matt Pellman, the kind of morning where people slip, slide on all that puddling.
Unfortunately, it doesn't look like a happy day in the city of Philadelphia, but it certainly is for the teachers and students. Last day of school today in the Philadelphia city schools. So congratulations, guys. Enjoy your summer. I don't think you're going to enjoy your morning ride. Here in Delco, we've got a new crash along 95, northbound side about a half mile before Curlin Street. A lot of emergency crews on the scene, just the right shoulder squeezing by, headed up toward the Blue Route. So already we're starting to see a delay on 95 northbound coming away from Highland Avenue through this point approaching Curlin Street. We'll keep watching that. Also watching some traffic light troubles now in Upper Moreland, Montgomery County at the intersection where the Dunkin' Donuts and the Tony Roni's is. Fitzwatertown Road at 611. Police are out there in the intersection directing traffic, so adhere to their direction this morning and watch out for them. In Gloucester County, new crash on the New Jersey Turnpike northbound exit 2 for 322. Luckily, that is off to the side, but elsewhere in Gloucester County, 41 is still closed because of the downpour from the overnight crash right there in the area of Delsey Drive and County House Road. Maybe stick with 55 or the Black Horse Pike as alternates to 41 this morning. And we had earlier problems along 295 with a mulch spill and construction. All that's gone. So 295 at this point is wet, but looking okay. Tam?
Okay, thank you, Matt. Los Angeles police say a suspected car thief and wanted gang member led them on a high-speed chase yesterday. Police say the man drove erratically at very high speeds through residential streets on the wrong side of the street and even drove over a dirt embankment from the highway before ending up in a cul-de-sac. The suspect finally got out of the car and surrendered. A woman in Port Orchard, Washington is behind bars this morning, accused of hiring someone to kill her husband. The couple's daughter was the one who alerted police after the 68-year-old man died last year. Now, he did have serious health problems, but an autopsy showed that what he actually died from was a drug overdose. His wife works at a corrections facility. Police say she has admitted that she asked 2 inmates about having her husband murdered, but now says that she was just joking. The woman claims she's innocent.
6:18, still ahead on Action News, why a person shopping for sunscreen may be burned by confusion and how you can shop smarter.
Move over Alexander Hamilton. A woman will replace the founding father on the $10 bill.
Almost Friday, almost Friday, almost. Almost Friday. Just keep telling yourself because it's going to be a long ride this morning as we look outside at 95 in Delco. Oh my, what a long line of traffic we already have from 452 up to approaching Curlin Street. That's where we still have that crash blocking multiple left lanes. You want to stick with the local roads like 291, 13 through Chester, or even stay way up on Route 1 Baltimore Pike and the Media Bypass. Meanwhile, this is 422, not as bad, just starting to slow eastbound. It's westbound. We have the midday construction scheduled today from 9 to 3 in this area around Trooper Road. And watch out for a new crash in Montgomery County along Harleysville Pike at Park Avenue. Karen?
The rain right now is mostly light through the area. The problem is we had those downpours that came through earlier, so now they've got the flooded roadways. Although you can see on Storm Tracker 6 Live double scan, it's already trying to break apart a little bit, so not quite staying as steady. It's moving to the east, but it's just going to take a little while. 67 degrees in Millville, 66 right now in Philadelphia. A quick look at your forecast by 9 a.m., 70 degrees. At that point, still some showers around, but not the steady rain that we have. Lots of clouds. By noon, lots of clouds, mostly dry, 72. By 3 p.m., 79, lots of clouds, maybe a peak of sunshine. But then late in the day, once again during your evening commute, we've got a chance for some heavier rain or even a thunderstorm, especially north and west, Tam.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Now, most of us know you should wear sunscreen, but a lot of folks get confused standing there trying to decide what bottle to get. How much SPF do you need? Researchers at Northwestern took a look at 114 people trying to make this decision. Now, about 43% of them knew, yes, SPF is good for sun protection, but most didn't know exactly how much they needed, especially if you want to stop early aging and ward off cancer. Here's your answer. The SPF you want is at least 30, probably a little higher.
The U.S. Open gets underway today at the Chambers Bay Golf Course near Seattle. Rory McIlroy is yet again among the favorites. He won the PGA Championship in the British Open last year. Hey, the Phillies lost again, this time at home. Freddie Galvis hit a 3-run homer, their main highlight, against the Orioles, who won 6-4. It was the Phillies' 9th straight defeat, their longest streak in 16 years. The Phillies play Baltimore again this afternoon.
It is now 6:23. Coming up, we've got the latest headlines and 6 things that you need to know before you head out the door.
And our coverage of the mass murder at a South Carolina church continues. Catherine Scott has a local connection to the story. Catherine?
That's right, Matt. Grief from last night's church shooting in Charleston is being felt right here in Philadelphia. We're live with that report coming up at 6:30.
We're keeping a close eye on a church shooting overnight at a church in South Carolina. More info is just coming out. That top 6 things you need to know. So let's go on over to Erin O'Hearn. She has that for us at the big board. Good morning.
Good morning, Tam. And this is a picture of the man police believe is responsible for killing 9 people at a prayer service in a historic black church in downtown Charleston. Police are asking the public to be vigilant and come forward with any information that may help them identify the suspect. The chief says it is an all hands on deck effort to find this man said to be in his early 20s. Now, this was a close call. FAA officials are investigating a near collision between 2 airplanes at a runway intersection at Midway Airport. Apparently, one was cleared, the other was not. Both were about 2,000 feet away from the runway intersection. The 2 flights eventually continued on to their destination. NBC's Brian Williams, who was suspended by NBC in February for fabricating a story about his reporting during the Iraq War, will not return as the anchor of the network's nightly news program. However, he will take on a different role within the network when his suspension ends in August. NBC is expected to talk about the details of the deal today. Move over, Hamilton. Your mug is being replaced by a woman on the $10 bill starting in 2020. Just which woman is up to you. The Treasury Secretary says he's seeking public input on which female historical figure should appear on U.S. paper currency for the first time in 119 years. Burger lovers in Japan are seeing red. Burger King is set to launch its Aka Samurai burger to its menu on July 3rd. Aka means red in Japanese. The bun's bright hue comes from adding tomato paste to its ingredients. It also has red cheese covered in chili-flavored angry sauce. And if you really need a deterrent to eating fast food, here you go. A Los Angeles man ordered fried chicken from a KFC restaurant, but instead, he says he got a plate of crispy breaded fried rat. The photos could be interpreted as a rat's tail, you see there, but the fast food chain says, listen, it's all a hoax, and the man just angled the photos in a very deceiving way. Guys,
okay.
I'm still staying away from fast food.
Yeah.
Thank you, Erin. 6:28 now. Much more coming up. A skydiver misses her mark and lands on a house. We have more of this new video coming up in the next half hour of Action News.
Breaking right now, 9 people are dead after a gunman opens fire during a prayer meeting at a church in South Carolina, and police have just released a picture of the suspect.
Only on Action News, a woman speaks to us about how she was punched and slashed with a box cutter while waiting for a SEPTA train.
And happening right now, wet roads out there could offer a few extra headaches as you try to make your way through your morning commute.
Hey everyone, it is 6:30 on this Thursday. Karen's in for David and Matt's looking at the roads. We begin with breaking news. 9 people were killed in a shooting at a historic African-American church in Charleston, South Carolina.
Right now, police say that gunman is still out there on the loose. The FBI has been called in. They're looking at this as a hate crime.
Action News has team coverage. Catherine Scott has a local connection to the church in Charleston. We begin with Aaron Ahern in the Satellite Center with new breaking details. Aaron?
That's right, Matt and Tam. Just about a half hour ago, there was a press conference in Charleston with new information. Police have obtained surveillance video, and they wanted to release this picture because they say they need the public's help. They believe that this is the man who was responsible for killing 9 people inside that church. And you can see it's a pretty clear picture there. He has sandy colored hair. He's wearing a pretty distinct gray sweatshirt, and he's a slender build, about 5'9", and he's said to be between 20 and 25. So police are asking anyone with information to come forward if they can help them identify this man, because they believe he is armed and dangerous and they want to prevent him from hurting someone else. Let's take a look at another picture of the car that they believe he was driving. There it is, and police say there is a pretty distinct front license plate. So again, they released this information just about a half hour ago, asking the public for help. It is an all-hands-on-deck effort to find this suspect. Now let's take you back to what happened about 9 o'clock last night. Police say the man in his early 20s, as we said, opened fire during a prayer meeting inside the Emmanuel AME Church. Now the scene was described as chaotic. Officials found 8 people dead inside the church, and then another individual died later at a hospital. Now the pastor of the church, Clementa Pinckney, you see there, also a state senator, was actually pushing a bill to get body cameras on police after an unarmed black man was shot by a white police officer in a neighboring area just 2 months ago. Now, the Reverend Al Sharpton says Pinckney was among those killed last night. However, authorities have not released the identity of the victims, but the FBI again is on the scene investigating these murders as a hate crime.
As I said, in all the way back to Meeting Street.
And again, we showed you that picture of the man in his 20s. We'll have that on 6abc.com so you can take a closer look at that. But obviously, this community is grieving. It is a community filled with fear right now. There is another press conference expected around 7 o'clock. So, of course, we'll bring you those details when we receive them. For now, we're live in the SAT Center. Aaron Ahern, Channel 6, Action News. Back to you.
Okay, thank you for that, Aaron. Now let's head on over to Catherine Scott. She's live in Queen Village with more on the ties between that South Carolina church and with our area. Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning, Tam. The AME Church has congregations around the world, but it's still a tight-knit community, and the community here this morning is grieving. The pastor here at Mother Bethel in Queen Village said he received a call last night about that shooting. He's been up ever since. He says there are people here in Mother Bethel's congregation on 6th and Lombard in Queen Village whose parents or grandparents migrated from South Carolina. Pastor Dr. Mark Kelly Tyler spoke to us inside. He says his heart goes out to all the victims. Reverend Pinckney was a good friend of his. They've known each other for close to a decade. They would talk about their congregations, and Dr. Tyler even interviewed Reverend Pinckney for a documentary on the African Methodist Episcopal Church in South Carolina. What happened last night is still sinking in.
This is something that hits all AMEs. I mean, we're on 5 continents in almost 40 countries, and I guarantee you by later this morning we'll be getting email and messages from people in South Africa and the Caribbean and Europe, all over. I mean, this is, we're family.
And Dr. Tyler says that Mother Bethel will be doing something to show solidarity with Mother Emmanuel. They just don't know what it is yet. They still have to plan it. We're live in Queen Village. Catherine Scott, Channel 6 Action News.
Thank you, Catherine. Time right now is 6:37. And here's an exclusive. The search is on for the slasher who attacked a woman as she waited for a SEPTA train. The victim is only speaking to Action News. Police say this surveillance video shows the man right before the attack yesterday morning at an L station in Philadelphia's Frankfurt section. 50-year-old Shelley Renee Daly says he attacked her for no reason, chasing her around the station platform wielding a yellow box cutter.
When I'm holding the paper and I'm doing like this with the paper, he sliced me here. When he realized he sliced me, he kept on coming back. And I'm doing like this. He said, I'm going to slice your throat. I'm going to slice your throat.
The victim walked to Frankfort Area Hospital nearby where she received stitches to a 5-inch gash on her wrist. If you have any information about this man, believed to be her attacker, call police. Right now is 6:41. Still ahead on Action News. There is brazen and then there is brazen. A man tortures a police cruiser in Massachusetts in front of a camera and in front of the police station.
And police have released new images of the killer convicts who escaped an upstate New York State prison more than 2 weeks ago. We'll show them to you. Matt.
Tamar road buckle from yesterday here along 422 westbound by Collegeville has been patched this morning. You just have to worry about the heavy eastbound delays as well as the really wet conditions leading to a bunch of accidents, including a bad one in Delco. We'll talk about that when Action News continues on this Thursday morning.
Welcome back. You're taking a live look here. Sky 6 out over a rainy, hazy Center City. It is now 6:44, 67 cool degrees out there. We will not get out of the 70s, going up to 79 today.
Video here on Action News showing a Massachusetts man torching a police cruiser and then celebrating before getting caught. Surveillance video from the Southbridge Police Department shows the man dousing the cruiser with gasoline and then setting it ablaze. Police say the arsonist is Arthur Burnham. He is currently being held without bail pending a mental health evaluation.
It's been almost 2 weeks since those two men broke out of a prison in upstate New York, so there's a good chance that they're out there trying to disguise themselves at this point. Now, this is what the two escaped killers could look like now. Officials released these images of Richard Matt and David Sweat with beards as new details emerged about the woman who may have helped them escape. Investigators now say Joyce Mitchell had an affair with Matt and wanted the two men to kill her husband. Officials are now saying that the two men could be out there anywhere. We'll be right back. And this is breaking right now. A fire has damaged a Delaware County seafood business. Flames broke out just before 5 this morning on the 1000 block of Hook Road in Darby Township. When the firefighters got there, they found a fully involved fire at Sea Hucksters Market. The blaze also damaged a tractor trailer parked next to the building. As for now, the fire is under control and crews are still there on the scene. So far, we're not getting any reports of injuries.
Thank you, Karen. A skydiver in Ohio is recovering from a hard landing. She landed on the roof of a house in Middletown. Sophia Garcia, a first-time jumper, was supposed to land at a nearby airport. Despite being fully trained, she missed her target and instead flew straight into the home. Garcia just broke her ankle in the mishap.
On the People scene, big changes are coming to ABC's hit drama Secrets and Lies. Michael Ealy has been cast as the leading man for season 2. Ryan Phillippe was in season 1. In fact, Juliette Lewis is the only cast member returning. Her character, Detective Andrea Cornell, takes on a new case, this one involving a man whose wife has been murdered. Ealy previously starred in Sleeper Cell and Almost Human. Be sure to tune in tonight to meet the first women of space. The Astronaut Wives Club premieres right here on 6ABC. The new drama follows the lives of 7 women who were key players behind some of the biggest events in American history. You can watch it tonight at 8 o'clock. Here's an update on our breaking news. Police in Charleston, South Carolina have released these images of the white man wanted in a deadly shooting at Emmanuel AME Church, at a historically black church. The gunman opened fire last night, killing 9 people, including a state senator who was also the pastor. Authorities are calling this a hate crime. Officials are planning a news conference at 7 this morning. That's just in a few minutes. We'll be streaming it live on 6abc.com. And the search is on for the slasher who attacked a woman as she waited for a SEPTA train in Philadelphia's Frankfort section. The victim spoke only to Action News, and she says she was attacked for no apparent reason and slashed on her wrist with a box cutter.
95 northbound's a parking lot in Delco because of this crash approaching Curlin Street, still taking out the 2 left lanes. And in Deptford Township, down pole is closing 41 by Dr. Dan's Auto Repairs. Doctor's busy today, Karen.
Yes, he is. Storm Tracker 6 Live double scan showing the rain is mostly light at this point, but it's steady and it is slowly pushing east, so you still have a lot of that water on the roadways we're trying to get rid of. Our high today, 79 degrees. You can see it's going to stay cooler with all those clouds. The steady rain pushing out of here by 9 a.m. Just a shower around. By noon, you're mostly dry.
Okay, thanks, Karen. Thanks for watching. Head to 6abc.com, Facebook, and Twitter for updates when we are not on the air. For Matt Pellman, Karen Rogers, David Murphy, Tamala Edwards, I'm Matt O'Donnell. Good Morning America is next with the latest on the mass shooting at that South Carolina church.